Hi, I'm Ken Navarro, and I'd like to welcome you to my recording studio. I get quite a few emails and messages asking me to explain how I go about creating my music and my recordings. On my podcast series at iTunes, I discuss my composing process, the guitars I record, and many other things. But today with this video, I'd like to show you how I mix together all of the different instruments and elements in a song to produce the final result you hear on my albums. I'm going to use the song we're hearing right now in the background, Running Toward the Sun, which is from my new album, Ruby Lane, to show you just how I do it. All right, what you see here is the mixing board as it appears on the screen of my studio computer. All of the parts, all of the instruments have already been recorded, and this is the screen I use to control the volume, the panning, and the overall sound of each instrument and how they all blend together. Let's start by going through the mixing board and looking at each of the 6 different instrument groups one at a time. The first instrument group is what I call the rhythm instruments. These are the drums, the percussion, and a loop that I created. And you notice I've color-coded them all in orange, so they're very easy for you and I to both see. We have the kick drum, which is the bass drum, the hi-hats, the tom-toms, an overhead pair of stereo mics that record things like the cymbals and stuff like that. Then we have a cymbal roll. Then we have a conga part, a shaker part, and a loop. And this is something I created that repeats every 4 bars that gives the tune a certain kind of vibe and a certain kind of groove that it wouldn't get with just the acoustic drums and percussion. So let's listen now just to the rhythm instruments all by themselves without anybody else. All right, let's listen to just the loop. So you can see the loop has a certain vibe to it that's very important for this song. Let's add the shaker part in. Subtle, but important. And here are the congas. Let's go ahead and add in the drums. Which right now is really just the ride cymbals. All right, so there you have the rhythm instruments. Now the next group is the bass. This is, in this song, an acoustic bass, or what is sometimes referred to as a jazz or an upright bass. And I have basically 2 bass parts, although the first one, bass 1, is what you hear 99% of the time. There's one place where I decided to have a different bass part inserted, and that's what the bass 2 track is for. So let's listen now to just the one bass track. And there you have it. That's the bass track. The third instrument group is the main keyboard, which plays the chords, which really fill out the song. And so the part you use for this is very important. I used a Fender Rhodes, which is an electric piano. It's been around for like 50 years, and it has sort of a bell-like quality, but still has many of the characteristics of a piano for a keyboard player when they're playing it. And let's go, I think from the beginning of the song, we'll get a good idea what the Rhodes part sounds like all by itself. Let's add the bass to this. we add all of the drums and the percussion. So you can see how nicely those three different groups, the rhythm instruments, the bass, and the main keyboard, the Rhodes, all blend together where you can hear all of them very well, but yet they sound like a wonderful puzzle where all the pieces are put together in a way where you can appreciate them all without anything dominating too much. All right, let's move on to the next group of instruments. The next instrument group are what I call auxiliary keyboards. These are keyboards that usually, from at least in my songs, usually play parts in different places of the song to bring out certain elements. One of those parts is played by a sampled vibraphone and another Rhodes, and this is a part that comes in basically just, I think, 2 or 3 times in the song. And let's listen to what those two instruments and that part sounds like all by itself. So it's kind of repetitive, but it adds this counter melody in what you might call the middle section of the song. It's important when it comes in, and you appreciate it when it happens, but it's, it doesn't play all the time. The next auxiliary keyboard part is made up by 2 flutes and a sample I created called Murmur, which is sort of what it sounds like. That name sounds like. It's very vocal-like, but very under and mysterious sounding. And the combination of the 2 flutes and Murmur are very effective. So let's listen to a little bit of those parts together. So there's that. The next instrument group are my rhythm guitar parts. This is 2 acoustic guitars. They each play the same part, but one of them I panned more to the left and the other pretty far to the right. And together they come in on the chorus to make a very nice rhythmic bed for the melody guitar at that point in the song. So let's listen to just the 2 rhythm guitars just by themselves. And then last but not least is the last of the 6 instrument groups, what I call the melody instruments. And these are my 2 guitar parts, and there's 2 guitars because there's places where there's harmony and I needed 2 of them. And then there's also a place where the voice comes in, just doubling the melody that's being played on the guitar. So let's find a good place in the song to listen to that all by itself. So now we're going to listen to just the 2 guitars and the voice, the melody instruments. A little more is coming up now. And then we're going to hear the voice join the melody guitar. All right, and so that's the last of the 6 groups. Now, let's put them all together, starting with the rhythm instruments. Let's unmute all of them. And here they are. Here's the bass. Here's the Rhodes. Let's add the melody guitars in. Here are those auxiliary keyboards. without the rhythm guitars. And with them. See, they're important. Sometimes I like to hear how just the melody guitar and the rhythm instruments are sounding together. Or maybe just the guitars and the bass. And then everything back together. And there you have it. Those are the 6 instrument groups, and you can see how nicely they're all blending. Now, a lot of time and work has gone into making it sound like that, but I wanted you to see what happens when you separate out these different instrument groups and put them together in different combinations. It should all sound good, but of course it should sound the best when everything is all there at the same time, perfectly in balance and in place. Needless to say, a lot of time and effort goes into the overall composing, arranging, recording, and then mixing of each song, with literally thousands of decisions being made over the course of many months. I hope that I was able to give you a new understanding and a deeper appreciation of this part of my process. The new album is called Ruby Lane, and thanks for listening and watching.